We may be witnessing the beginning of an era that will mean the complete annihilation of man.
Annihilation?
Johnny, is terrorism still a threat? Well, I don't know whether it's a threat or not, Johnny. I'd just like to know where the hell it's gone. What do you mean by that? Yeah, gone. I mean, remember the heady old days, Johnny, before the pandemic, when terrorism seemed to be everywhere. Every bloody news headline. It was on the bloody news every night.
Reports are just coming in of an explosion at Liverpool Street Station here in London.
Around the time that the Islamic State starts to gain traction in Iraq and Syria, we begin to see an increase in the number of inspired plotters in Europe.
I can confirm bomb damage to train, one carriage completely wiped out.
Activity, drug trafficking, had spent time in prison, and that prison time turned out to be important in facilitating, in many cases, radicalization.
Yeah, and all of a sudden this pandemic come along, it seems. Well, there hasn't been much of it, and they're all off hiding. Does that mean that terrorists are afraid of getting COVID or what? They don't seem to be the sort of people who care about getting flu-like symptoms. Johnny, are you saying that these terrorists are scared of catching COVID? Is that what you're insinuating? Well, I don't know, Johnny. Well, perhaps they do need booster shots, Johnny. I reckon a lot of those blokes wouldn't be getting their booster shot. Perhaps the Americans have bloody, quietly, as everyone suffered through the bloody pandemic, perhaps the Americans were quietly using their drone force. Yeah, their drone force to calmly blast anyone in other countries who even looked like being a terrorist. Yeah, well, that's apparently what they do. They sit there in their little bloody offices in Oklahoma or somewhere and go fly their drones around the world like big bloody model aeroplanes and just fucking blast people. Well, it'd put the wind up me and you, I reckon, Johnny, for sure. Drones fucking blast people. Jesus Christ. Now, there's lots of criticism about that, but by Jesus, I don't know what else is bloody doing it. But Johnny, there were bloody terrorists cutting heads off and doing all kidnapping people and fucking running rampant, causing all sorts of strife all around the world. We're going to do this and we're going to take over that and we're going to do this. But it just seems to have died in the arse. Do you mean that's all been bloody, it's all been dealt with?
Annihilation?
Johnny, are you saying that all the bloody terrorists are dead? I don't know whether they're dead, Johnny, but by Jesus, I reckon they've had a fucking fright.
Right, yeah.
How many times in the last few months, Johnny, have you had a conversation with anyone about terrorism? Or seen a headline about terrorism? Yeah. See, or was it just the Yanks in bloody Afghanistan that was causing all the trouble? I see. Yes, I do see. Once the Americans left Afghanistan in that beautifully planned withdrawal, perhaps all the terrorist problems have just gone away. Holy shit! It just seems mighty bloody strange to me, Johnny. No one's even bloody worrying about it.
Terrorists! Assassins! I'll let you! I'll kill you first! I'll let you!
By Jesus, that does sound a bit bloody strange. Now you think about it, here in Australia it was, we're going to do this and they're setting up task forces and all sorts of shit. Does that mean the task forces have been successful and they've wiped it out?
A terrorism expert is calling for a British-style unit to rapidly respond to terror attacks. He says Australia needs a new armed terror squad and a shift in the training of existing officers.
And in France, just yesterday or the day before, 6 people were injured by some dickhead wielding a sharpened bloody chisel, of all things. They were all stabbed. And the authorities have come out now and said, no, we don't think it's an act of terrorism. It's just a common bloody attempted murder.
OK, well, at least 6 people have been injured, including a member of the French border police in a knife attack. Peter, thank you very much. Can you just talk us through exactly what's happened? Is it terror?
don't know at the moment, Patrick, what normally happens over here. If there's any serious evidence for terror, anti-terrorism judges are involved. They're specialist grade of judges here because of the amount of terrorism there has been in France over the years. But I can tell you at the moment, they have not been instructed, and at the moment it is being treated as a routine criminal inquiry.
Well, is it terrorism or not, Johnny? Or is it just plain good old-fashioned attempted murder? Well, I don't know. Well, that's just the way the authorities work, Johnny. Of course, it all could have something to do, Johnny, with the media. Well, perhaps they do need booster shots, Johnny. I reckon if you report something, it gets a lot of attention. If you don't report something, it gets no attention. Well, yeah, and the media don't seem interested in terrorism at all. Now, I don't know. Now, I don't know if that's because there is no terrorism or because they're not showing terrorism. Terrorism isn't there. It's a bit like the chicken and the egg bloody thing. But, Johnny, what if we didn't have mainstream media? We wouldn't have anything to panic us, to get us living in fucking fear of our lives. I can't believe if the Americans have done something successful in combating terrorism, Johnny, I can't believe they'd just sit there and shut up. They'd be out there bloody telling the world how terrific they are and what a great job they've done, and we never know. Well, perhaps it's gone forever, Johnny. And we need another $66 billion for our war budget. They'd be doing all that sort of shit. They didn't have any trouble telling us what the hell was going on when there were terrorists around. Maybe the media shouldn't cover anything bad at all, Johnny. So perhaps the question should be asked, Johnny, is terrorism still around? If it is, then well and good, we've got to keep fighting it. But if it's not, what the hell's happened to it? Well, perhaps they need their booster shots, Johnny. I can't believe they're all bloody scared of COVID, Johnny. That's fucking ridiculous.